Hello everybody, welcome back. Now, vocabulary is the most obvious progress we can see and make. Vocabulary is the most explicit quantitative indicator of improving English. So a good vocabulary can in return improve every aspect of our language. So vocabulary is crucial for improving your English language skills, especially after you have to study English for a couple years or approach intermediate level. You may encounter some difficulties, such as you may have too many words you don't know when reading English newspapers or articles or books, which affects your interest and fluency in that particular concept. Or when you have a conversation with potentially an English native speaker around certain topics, you may struggle to understand them, or you may struggle to use the correct words and accurately convey your message. This would affect your communication skills as well. Now, this is the bottleneck or the barrier that stops every beginner learning a language, and everybody encounters this same stage. Now, at this stage, we will say improving your vocabulary is the absolutely key to the breakthrough. So vocabulary is the quickest win in learning English. Speaking, reading and comprehension, writing and listening can all be improved. Now, a good vocabulary aids in effective listening and speaking skills. It allows you to comprehend spoken language, including accents and dialects, and respond intellectually during conversations. Now, if you're a student, a strong vocabulary is vital for your success and your learning in English. It helps you understand and remember lecture content, engage in discussions, and write essays, research papers effectively. Now, expanding your vocabulary is an ongoing process that contributes to your personal growth. It challenges your mind, enriches your thought processes, and you can even use similar words to replace each other in sentences or paragraphs. Now, through improving your vocabulary, this is an amazing way to help you think like an English speaker, which will also help you improve your English level. Now remember, it is useless to remember words from word lists and not use them in the correct context. So we must actively learn these words effectively and then put them into use. Now, when we say we want to learn English in an effective and efficient way, this means that we can learn the words and retain the meaning and basic usage of the words. Eventually, we then acquire these words and we use them on a day-to-day basis. Efficient also means that we must achieve our target in a relatively short period of time, rather than a very prolonged time. Now, how can we accomplish these ambitious goals? This is what we aim to do in this no-nonsense English channel. First, learn vocabulary through images. Now, our brain is mainly an image processor, not a word processor. Visual learning is a more effective means and way of learning vocabulary. Visual learning is so much more effective than any other method. So search for different images on Google, for example, about each collection of words. For example, search for the word blatant on Google. I found that on Google there are many images about the word, but there is one impressive and interesting image of a cartoon figure, Pinocchio, with his long nose. The title says, "Blatant Lies That Have Always Worked," from the Outlish magazine. So I will easily remember the word meaning and basic usage of blatant in a sentence or in the context. For example, blatant lies mean very obvious or intentional lies. Second, in our channel, we will use lots of movie clips to bring the use of this new word, for example, blatant, into a real-life context.
Now that is a blatant fabrication.
This contempt, this blatant disrespect.
Edgar, most of what you wrote is exaggeration. Some of it blatant lies, and I don't even know if you realize it anymore.
It was a blatant violation of standard operating procedure, which is why I filed the report.
You can use our channel videos or similar clips on the internet containing the use of these words, for example, blatant, to familiarise yourself with the sounds of the word, the pronunciation of the word, and the everyday usage of the word. Now, in this way, you can explore many different scenarios and sentences with the word and how they use the word. For example, blatant. Now, thirdly, we print the images with the sentences containing the new words and collect them in a folder for you to use. So then every 3 days, then weekly, then monthly, then maybe quarterly, you may review them in a simple and efficient way to almost retain that information. So now, believe it or not, through this method, I even managed to remember 3,000 completely new words in less than 3 months' time when preparing for the 11 Plus exam when I was only 10 years old. Now, fourth, reading a short non-fiction or fictional article containing these new words to build up and reinforce the understanding and usage of this word. Now, trying to make a habit of reading daily and reading these articles every day, increasing your reading level and difficulty. This will help replace the new words that you are learning with words that you may already know in English, which are more simple and more plain. For example,
It was a blatant violation of standard operating procedure, which is why I filed the report.
it was a blatant violation of standard operating procedures, which is why I filed the report. Now, you can use completely obvious to replace blatant or explain blatant. Now, this is a very good method of training yourself to think in English. Now, fifth, you must practice and use these words in writing and speaking. Now, this is a crucial part of your development as an English speaker. So create short stories, essays, or even sentences that incorporate these words that you have learnt. Now, sixth, many words in English are derived from common roots, prefixes, and suffixes. And when you learn these common root words from common words we already know, for example, from the word inspect, we learn that the root word spect means to see. Then, using the root word knowledge, we can unlock words that we may not know now. For example, spectator, one who sees an event. Expect, a person waiting to see if something happens. Spectacular, impressive enough to be worthy of seeing. Spectacle, something which is seen, such as a public event or show. And spectacles, glasses which allow the wearer to see or see better or improve their vision. Now, all these 5 different words are all linked to the root word spect, meaning to see. Other words that are related to the root word spect, for example, respect, aspect, spectator, spectacle, spectacular, speculative, perspective, prospect, perspective, all these words, and there are many more, are all linked to the root word. And you can help remember all these different words just by knowing your root words and your prefixes and suffixes and being a detective while breaking down the word into these different parts. And this will help your overall understanding and memorization of these different words and their meanings. Now, the 7th way of learning words is through synonyms and antonyms. Along with word definitions, we must also learn its synonyms and its antonyms. These provide a more comprehensive understanding and greater knowledge of the word's usage and its meaning. So do some practice tests to find the synonym and antonym of the new vocabulary word. For example, if we go back to blatant, blatant means done openly and unashamedly. Similar words which are synonyms are flagrant, glaring, obvious, undisguised, and unconcealed. Now, at this stage, we will say improving your vocabulary is the absolutely key to the breakthrough. So learning vocabulary is the quickest win to learning English.